I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules and certainly with the weather to make it out here with us tonight. But before we get started, we all have heard very loud and clear about the terrible tragedy that happened in the county yesterday. And we also want to give a salute to our first responders who were there on the scene. The chief is there in the back room, at the back of the room. But we certainly want to do a moment of silence, please, for those individuals who we so sadly lost, and certainly those individuals who were injured in yesterday's terrible accident. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Well, let me start first with a few ground rules and a couple of introductions, and let you all know how the night will go. We will have a couple of opening words by the county executive and a few of the other elected officials here. Following that, we'll go into the question and answer, or the question period, or the statement period that you all kind of control. And the county executive will say that this is for us to listen to you and not for you to listen to us. So the objective here is for you to tell us. So we listen, which is why we call this a listening session. Each of the people presenting will have 3 minutes to present. We have a timer here that will keep everyone on time. In addition to the timer, we will give you a warning at 1 minute left in your remarks, and then we'll give you another warning at the 30-second point. And we're asking that you all please be respectful of those who are presenting. This is, we want to make sure that everyone gets enough time to say what they have to say, but we do have a number of speakers tonight, so we want to make sure that we, give everyone the amount of time that they are allotted and not go over. And then following that, if there's any extra time, I'm sure the county executive will be after the meeting here to talk to folks one-on-one or whatever after things are over. I'd like to first introduce the county executive. I think we all know who he is, Mr. Sharon Baker, there in the center. He's joined by Mr. Alonzo Washington, who is he is chair of the House Delegation's Law Enforcement Subcommittee. We also have next to the county executive Senator Victor Ramirez. And he's vice chair of the Senate delegation. I think we also have do we have a couple council people sitting here? Yes, we have Denny Tavares there. Could you raise your hand, Denny? And Council Member Danielle Galera. All here to listen to you. So I will quickly turn it over to the county executive.
First of all, thank you very much for coming out tonight. I'm going to be very short because we did come here to listen to you. And before I give remarks, I do want to turn it over to first Senator Victor Ramirez from the Senate delegation to give opening remarks, and then I'll turn it over to Delegate Alonzo Washington from the House side. Senator Ramirez.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. County Executive. Good evening. How's everyone? Thank you for bearing this awful weather, but I'm glad that we all made it here safe. Make sure you make it home safe as well. As the County Executive mentioned, we are here to listen. We start session in a couple of months in January, but it's always good to get together, talk about the issues that truly affects us and we care about. And always know that we're here to listen. We work for you. You're the ones that elected us to this position. I see many of my constituents here, so I'm glad to be here. And I'll stay a little bit afterwards to also take some information back. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Senator Washington.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. It's good to see everybody here today, and I want to welcome you to District 22. I'm really excited to be here to listen to you, listen to your needs, and listen to what you want to hear, what you want from the state and the county. Next week, the Prince George's County delegation has its public hearing on local bills. Next week, Monday at 7 p.m. at the Sports and Learning Complex. So I welcome you all to come there to speak on any of the bills that we'll have in the House delegation. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to, we're so glad to have our council members with us. This is really great. So I'd like for them to just give a brief opening, starting with Councilmember Galeros.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive, and welcome to Councilmanic District 3, as well as Legislative District 22 with Delegate Alonzo Washington. I'm just here to listen, so I look forward to hearing all of your comments, and thank you, Mr. County Executive, for pulling together the listening session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Denny Taveras. I represent District 2 that encompasses the area of Langley Park, Adelphi, Mont Rainier, Brentwood, North Brentwood, the city of Hyattsville, Chilham, Avondale, and many more areas. So but basically it's an opportunity for me to listen to your needs and listen to your wants and be able to work with the county executive and the state to help realize that vision that you have for our beautiful county. So I just want to thank you for coming out on such a rainy day. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we give them a round of applause? Isn't this great? They are gracious enough to come to these listening sessions with us, knowing that they have their own, and we're just fortunate to have each and every one of these individuals representing us. The other thing I do, if you've been to these listening sessions before, you know that we try to get the most out of them as possible, not only as we're going into the legislative session, but also while you're here. So we ask, and they're just such great people, and they just love doing this, that they jump at the chance to actually come to the listening session. So if there's a question that you have of me about our administration, I can really point you to these individuals, and they're excited, believe me. So don't hold back. So really, really, really quickly, and I'm going to do it with the directors. I see our fire chief back there. He's like, "Can I be first?" And I'm like, "Yes." If they can just really quickly tell us who they are, which agency, so that way when I point and say, you need to go to Adam Ortiz, that you'll know exactly who he is. Chief, why don't you kick us off?
Mark Bayshore, Fire EMS. Darrell Mosley, Department of Public Works and Transportation. Eric Brown, Department of Housing and Community Development. Larry Stanton, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Safety.
Pam Trademore, the Director of the Health Department. Lori Brown, Department of Social Services. Teresa Griggs, Department of Family Services. Amy McDonough, Department of Corrections. Betty Francis, Office of the County Executive.
I'm Homeland Security Director.
Big Mo.
Stephen Iannucci, County Executive's Office.
Adam Ortiz, Department of the Environment.
Am I missing anybody?
Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement.
Great.
Sheila Jackson, the Prince George's County Public Schools.
All right. Did we miss anybody? Because I want to make sure you're all here, because I'll be pointing you out. Who's missing? Oh, Glenda Wilson? That's Glenda Wilson. She's the Chief of Staff. And man, very important. Very important. Did you raise it? Because you're kind of short. Raise your hand. Real low. There you go. Now you know why they love. No, I wanted to make sure, because it is important that any chance we get to actually solve some of these problems today, we want to do that. We've got our 311 outside. Our departments are all here. And this is really a chance for us to get feedback from you going into the session, but also feedback what we can do in the administration. So with that, we're looking forward to hearing from you. And I will say this, and Barry said it, but it always comes up a lot. Very rarely will you hear me comment on your comments, because it's really a chance for us to take notes on it. Occasionally, if there is a problem that I think we can have solved right now, I'll point you to one of the directors back there. But other than that, Courtney, raise your hand. Courtney is taking copious notes. So she'll have all that information that will go into legislation that we'll submit to these gentlemen And so with that, Barry?
Okay, so here's how we'll proceed with the speakers. I will call the first person up, and then I will call the second name, so the second person will know that they're on deck. You can either stand behind the individual who's presenting, or just make sure you start moving closer to the mic once you, certainly if you see Courtney holding up the sign with 1 minute or 30 seconds left. So our first speaker is Joyce Brooks, and on deck is Sharon Brooks.
No cousin of mine.
Hey, can we get some help, please?
Ma'am, we'll take you right to the mic,
Okay.
right here.
You know, Loretta, you might want to...
Do a 180 and turn to face these folks. And
Okay.
your microphone is right in front of you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Yeah, we just want to make sure you get back to your seat.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Joyce Brooks. I want everybody to have a standing ovation for my National Federation of the Blind members here. In the front row. Yeah.
All right.
I'm here to talk a little bit about housing. I was totally applaud when you open up your housing list, but we still need more housing in PG County. I was fortunate, I worked in Assa for 42 years, and so I was fortunate to purchase my house here in PG County 15 years. But once I retired, and now my retina detached, so I've become one of members of this group, and I just want to say that we appreciate what you have done, but we need more housing. There are so many blind people in our community that are homeless because, okay, you work, you lose your sight, you lose your job, and you lose your house. So we need more housing. Also, right quick, I need sidewalks on my street. I'm on the Forgotten Street on 73rd Avenue in Hinesville, and there's no sidewalks. And also, we need more talking signals because we love to get out and walk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're going to help you get to the seat. And I'm sure somebody from Darrell Mobley's shop's going to talk to you about those sidewalks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, well, you're good right there, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Is it on?
Oh, you got other mic.
Is it working?
No, it's not.
There you go.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharon McBride, and I'm also a member of the NFB, National Federation of the Blind. I heard someone's name, but I think it was Daryl something, about the Public Works.
Yes, Darrell.
What's the name?
Mobley.
Mosley?
Mobley, yes, ma'am.
Mobley, okay. My concern is about the APS signals. I reside in the College Park area in the senior housing division, and off of Greenville Road and Rhode Island Avenue. And there are only one APS signal there. And that's a very hazardous street to try to navigate, being that you're visually impaired. Because it's hazardous for people to see. You literally have to run across the street. And I'm concerned about that area. The people in my building who are in charge of the building says that that property that's not a concern for them because it belongs to the county and then one belongs to something else. It's like they're just playing, pushing it around and not getting no answers. So I'm concerned about that because I am not a stay-at-home person and I like to travel and I do use public transportation. So I need to be able to commute better, and I think that would benefit not only visually impaired, but anybody that has a disability. So I'm waiting to hear what can be done about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Joel Ryerson, and on deck is Mark Johnson.
Good evening, panel.
Good evening.
I've been a resident for 43 years in Prince George's County, and my issue with the public transportation. about 2 months ago, they had a public hearing, and they're gonna eliminate the R3, which I hope they don't do it, because we need it. But if they did, maybe they have an option of catching the bus, and maybe they extend the bus service to the my area in Delphi. And my address is 8611 Laverne Drive, Delphi, Maryland, 20783. And I've been riding buses for 36 years, and I don't think that would be a good idea. And I hope Metro sees that, and maybe the county can help here too. And I like the purple line that's gonna help me a lot too. It's only a mile from my house on Camas Drive and Delphi Road. So thanks for letting me speak tonight, and you have a good evening.
Thank you. And I'm sure somebody from our Public Works office will talk to you. Let me just say this before the next speaker. Just so you know, our 311 office is in the back, so if you have issues that you don't get a chance to speak to tonight, or if you want to go back there and utilize that system, we can make sure it gets into gets to the right agencies and get you a callback number so we can make sure we're solving those problems. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Anthony Johnson, Sr.
Yes.
I've been in this county since 1965, 50 years. And I want to first thank you, County Executive Sharon Baker, for having a great program here in Prince George's County that we were able to benefit from. I'm a county-based certified business, and I'm also part of the Business Development Reserve Program. The purpose for me putting that together is to provide advocacy. I want to thank the National Federation of the Blind, Gerald Barnes, for being an advocacy to share some of the challenges they were having. And now it gives me my reason why we have this business started. So what we want to do is we want to help resolve some of the challenges from our expertise and put a team together. And I also want to thank Ms. Brown, because I used to be part of Senior Job Developer for Prince George's County, and handed the idea to the council that created the Job First Act of Prince George's County. So I just came here to thank you and want to just let the public know that it's working. God bless you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Next up is Michael Ahern. Michael Ahern and Dana Hennett.
How you doing tonight?
Very good.
I'm here on behalf of I'm on the board of, Ardmore Enterprises, which is an agency that deals with people with developmental and intellectual disabilities. And I guess I'm here to ask for supplemental funding for these many agencies in the county. As it stands with the minimum wage legislation that was passed for Prince George's County, the minimum wage that they have to pay their minimum wage employees is going to exceed the income that they get from the state. And basically, no business can stay open with that. And in fact, half of these agencies in the county are already losing money. So you're basically going to put them out of business. And I don't know where you're going to find housing and daycare for these, thousands. They take care of 2,641 individuals. They have 1,500 employees that are actually direct support employees. They have over 2,000 employees combined. And, basically you're going to have a crisis on your hands if these agencies start failing, because there's nowhere for them, typically when an agency failed in the past, another agency could absorb them. But with these agencies all having to pay wages higher than what they're getting from the state, nobody's going to be able to take them on. And I know, Prince George's County set that minimum wage rate to be comparable to Montgomery County, but Montgomery County provides supplemental funding on the order of in excess of $11 million to their agencies. Prince George's County provides zero at this point. So it's critical that the county step up to the plate and support these agencies. And as a matter of fact, of those several thousand employees that work for these agencies, 70% of them live in Prince George's County. These agencies operate over 161 homes, which will, if they start failing, you're just going to exacerbate the foreclosure crisis. And I know looking at some of the, where the minimum wage lines up with the state and with the county funding, you kind of sit there and say, this is down the road, but this is going to happen sooner than you think. Because I can tell you, I work for Sandy Spring Bank. Banks are going to start basically getting out now while they still can. They're not going to wait till these agencies file bankruptcy to protect their interests. So, I urge you to come up with the supplemental funding. I know you guys have a structural deficit that's really hard to overcome, but when these agencies start failing, you're going to have, a crisis on your hands that, the Washington Post is going to be on the front page of how could you tell these agencies to pay this and not come up with any funding to support them. So, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, ma'am.
Microphone isn't working very well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dana Hennett. I am the president of the National Federation of the Blind Health and Wellness Division in Washington, D.C. I'm also a small business, co-owner of a small business in Prince George's County. I'm here to talk about transportation. Being an entrepreneur and being involved in nonprofit work requires me to use transportation quite a bit. The things that we have in place already is not adequate. Metro access, you have to plan your life 24 hours in advance. You can't leave the event early if you need to. And if you live in parts of this county, you don't get service on the weekends. That's not convenient for us. So you may say, oh, well, we have car cab service. Yeah, you do. But if you buy those tickets and you have to buy it a certain amount of time, and they're like vouchers. So once you buy those and you contact those cab companies that take them, if they know it's caller cab service, they may not pick you up. So how is that convenient for us? So you might say, oh, well, you have Uber. Okay, Uber is a service, but what about my senior citizens? They may not feel comfortable in using their smartphone to access their information to be used on an app on their phone. They may not even have a smartphone. So how is that convenient? If our nation's capital can have a grant that funds a transportation program for Metro Access users where they can get a cab and go anywhere in the city for $5, and they only have to wait maybe an hour or call it an hour before they need it. I had the opportunity to partake in that service with some people when I attended the state convention. And that cab took 10 minutes to come pick us up and took us where we needed to go. Surely Prince George's County can have better transportation for people with disabilities. If you're able to get anywhere you want to go, we should have the right to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Bernadine Carnes, and on deck is Bill Weemsley.
Hello, Mr. Baker and
Hello.
other elected officials. I'm here today actually for Laurel Hospital and representing Calverton. There are people, if you look around, there are people with white shirts saying Save Laurel Hospital from Laurel and Beltsville. Taking this hospital from a full-service hospital where our area is starting to boom with development just does not make sense. We have Conterra coming online with all of its development. If you look at Old Gunpowder Road, there's many other developments coming along. And then going just a little bit into Montgomery County, you've got the White Oak Science Gateway coming in with lots of activity, development coming in. Just does not make sense to have to worry about your health care and how you're going to get to a hospital when traffic is going to be hellacious more than it is now. The ambulance will be taking us to whether it's Washington Adventist, which is still quite a ways away, Holy Cross Hospital, Montgomery General, Howard General Hospital, maybe Prince George's. You know, we cannot afford to take ambulance out of service for too long, because then the next call that comes in, there will be no one able to take that person for their health care. We need to have hospitals that are local, and in the future, with all the development coming in, we need to accommodate everybody, whether they're workers, whether they live there. We need to have the services there for everybody for the future health care. It doesn't make sense to have me in a hospital and my family having to travel very long distances to come to make me feel good and help me get back well. And I just feel like that if you look around us, we're here to support this hospital. You know, at one point, Washington Adventist had offered to help the hospital, maybe even take it over, when they were turned down for their certificate need behind the Target on Cherry Hill Road. They thought, well, maybe we could, go into Laurel Hospital. That didn't happen because Laurel Hospital was there. Now it's not a full-service hospital, and we need Laurel Hospital back. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Bill Walmsley. I'm a 36-year resident of the Lanham-Seabrook area, and I've been waging a personal war against trash in the county. And basically, since 2012, I've been making a daily accounting of how much trash I pick up. Last night, it was 6.53 pounds. At this point, this year, I'm 17.4% above last year's total of 596.1 pounds. I think the county should be in recognition of the fact that they've got a serious out-of-control problem. I know that there's activities on the part of the Department of Environment, Public Works, and that through our Clean Up, Green Up, the new Clean Sweep initiatives to try and get a handle on it. Those are one-time events. What I would like to see is that the county be given additional capabilities in eliminating the amount of trash that's available to be inappropriately disposed of by reducing the amount of plastic bags, of which I can't separate those numbers from that to which I pick up, but they constitute a significant proportion and a very difficult one to deal with, particularly once they get off of the streets and into our wetlands and stormwater management systems. They cause a real problem in trying to get it out. Similar to what we've done to ban the plastic styrofoam, I think we should make similar efforts to ban plastic bags and at least do something to try and get rid of some of the trash that's proliferating throughout the county. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you for your work. Give him a round of applause. Adam Ortiz is jealous. I think he's going to come out there with you one day and see if he can't match you.
You offered last year to do the same.
You know what? Oh, where's Calvin? Hold it.
I haven't taken you up on it yet.
No. We're going to take you. Calvin's going to see you because we're going to go out there, right? I'm coming out there for that. And we did write down that the suggestion on banning plastic bags. Alonzo.
Next up is Linda Taylor, and on deck is Rochelle Harrod.
Where?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Linda Taylor. I'm hoping to share some information that I believe will help to make living and working in Prince George's County a more stable and secure experience. I have worked in the county in limited term, grant-funded status for more than 13 years. During that time, I've been told numerous times that I was a valued employee and that management hoped to make me a permanent employee. Early on, I stayed, and I hoped that my good work ethic and my attendance record would net me a permanent position, which would then allow me to earn enough leave to be able to have hip surgery. This, I believed, would enhance my value and my ability to continue to work well into my 70s, at which point I could possibly retire after serving about 20 years. Needless to say, I'm still a temporary employee, and at this point, I have only Social Security for retirement. LTGF status is a lifesaver for people who are unemployed and underemployed and need a foot in the door. It certainly was a great opportunity when I was transitioning. Living in temporary status year after year, however, can be a demoralizing experience. especially when numerous people are hired, fired, and retired during the time you are waiting. Most people who have been hired in my classification, I'm administrative A3, earn around $20,000 more than I do. They earn leave and have access to benefits that I can't get. I'm hopeful that our leadership will begin to work on a solution that will improve this situation. I do understand that any legislation or policy changes that could be made would take a considerable amount of time, and I personally will probably not benefit from the changes. I do hope that future county workers will have a better idea of what their limited term is, so they will be better able to plan their future. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rochelle Herrick. I've been a Prince George's County resident for 5 years. I come here today not only to make a personal statement for myself, but as an advocate for persons with disabilities about transportation on multiple fronts. Prince George's County, we have a problem. First one being Prince George's County, the bus. Now, it's a wonderful subsidized solution when you don't feel like catching Metro Access. I get that. I love it. The problem is that all the hydraulic lifts have not been phased out of the fleet, and you haven't lived until you've gotten stuck on one of those lifts. And people that don't have disabilities blame you and say, oh, well, why the hell didn't you catch Metro Access today? You haven't lived until you've gotten slapped in the face with that. And a driver has to protect you from a mob of people because you have to wait for a mechanic to come fix the lift. And then when a mechanic comes to fix the lift and they still have to wait on the bus, they look at you because you get special treatment for the bus driver on the original bus, which you got stuck on the lift that is now fixed for you to take you straight to your destination. So that's one problem. Problem number two is that as far as WMATA goes, Prince George's County gives less money per capita than DC and Virginia. And that's a problem. When you live on the north side of the county, we have great bus service. If you live on the south side, Clinton, Upper Marlboro, any of those areas, bus stops at 7. When you're on the north side, it stops about 10. That's perfect for me because I live on the north side. But when I want to go live and, visit with my parents, let's just say in Upper Marlboro, that's a problem. Third issue, let's not talk about the lack of accessible taxi service. And I'm going to stop right there. Because, first of all, if you're a wheelchair user, we had it, and then we didn't have it. It's still in litigation. I understand that the taxis we did have were sold to other jurisdictions, but my problem is that we have enough to do oversight, but not enough staff to do enforcement. So let's work together to fix that problem and make these people proud in this room to call it the gorgeous Prince George's.
Thank you.
Next up is Dan Smith, and on deck is Annette Rogers.
Thanks very much. Dan Smith from Cheverly. I'm a proud resident, as most of you know, of 30 years and 44 days in Prince George's County. But who's counting? But not only have I raised 2 daughters through the public schools, very proud of them, but also 4 years ago I moved my parents here. And we just had their 70th wedding anniversary. And they are saying they are thriving. Their health is much better than living out in the suburbs of Virginia. We had a 70th anniversary at Accokeek Foundation with Prince George's Catering, and we brought people from across this country who celebrated with them here. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I work at the Anacostia Watershed Society, where we got 26 employees, people who come from DC, Anne Arundel County, Montgomery County, and Baltimore to work in Prince George's County on the Anacostia River issues. And we're proud also that as an organization, we're in the middle of bringing in, like, most of our $3 billion budget, which has grown a lot in recent years, comes from outside sources. So we've brought in about $3 million in just a few years on projects that we spend here and do improvement in the county. So I think that is sort of a testament and example of the kind of thing that we're trying to do with your initiative with the public-private partnership and the environmental, seeing ourselves as a green leader. So just to take us to the next level, I mean, I congratulate what we're doing on trash with Clean Sweep and the Clean Up, Green Up and those programs, but as earlier speaker mentioned, we have some serious problems. And a lot of that litter, and I just want people to know that, because I think you know, but I think a lot of the people in the audience need to know that this litter accumulates. It gets into the river. It flows through the storm drains into the river. We have only the second river in the country to be federally designated as impaired from trash. So it is a serious problem. So ways that we could take this to the next level, I think they'd be low cost, would be to ban plastic bags. Forget this fee stuff and the back and forth politics of that. There's a strong state initiative on banning plastic bags. We should just go ahead and also do that at the county and leverage that up. And then another thing would be to support bottle deposit legislation. And I know there were some issues last year. It's been restructured. I think that the bill that is going to be introduced will meet our needs. And they've really tried to address the concerns of the county to be able to allow our system of recycling to continue with that. So those are two initiatives that I really would urge support for, and that also to take the funds and the money that we're using right now for stormwater remediation things, just use your executive powers to get a lot more breaking down silos and getting agencies to work together and leverage. Whenever an infrastructure project is going, get those working together. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
We have a mic coming for you, ma'am.
You want to put the bill in?
Good afternoon. My name is Annette Rogers. I'm a member of the NFB of DC and Sligo Creek. I'm here to talk to you this afternoon about transportation for the elderly, especially who live on the outskirts of Prince George's County. We do have metro access, but after a certain time, and metro access does not go to certain parts of the county. Like on Sundays, Saturday and Sundays, when the elderly need to go to church, if they do not live near to a bus stop or near to metro, they cannot get there. This is not satisfactory for PG County. We should acknowledge our members, our elderly members. Not only that we live and survive, but we get all things that we need to survive, such as transportation, such as housing, and things that we very need to survive. I do thank you for listening to me this afternoon.
Thank you.
Next up, we have, I think it's Jeff was it Lemieux?
Yeah, you got it.
Lemieux? How do you say it correctly?
Lemieux.
Lemieux, thank you. And the next one is David Brown.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Lemieux. I'm with the Washington Area Bicyclist Association Prince George's County Advocacy Committee. Terrific. And also Bike Maryland. And I came tonight to give you a draft of a new study that we've done.
Terrific.
That we're hopefully going to be finishing up in the next couple of weeks. And of course, you're invited to help us launch it when it's finalized.
All right.
This is a study of extending the WBNA Trail, which is in Seabrook, or I guess, Bowie, extending that to the District of Columbia to link up with the new Anacostia Riverwalk Trail, which is going to be completed next year. And when we were doing the study, we looked at where it could go. State Highway has already done some feasibility studies in the past. It would go along Route 704, it would go through Landover, and it would go along a riverbed that's designated that MNCCP might be able to put a trail on. It would be pretty expensive. You'd have to pull out guardrails, you'd have to change crosswalks, you'd have to build bridges and boardwalks along the waterway. But what we did is we looked at the property values of 11,000 properties in the area, Landover Hills, Woodlawn, Hyattsville, and others. And we took these communities and we rated them, ones that were close to trails and ones that were far away, that we called them car-locked communities, where you can't get out of your community except in a car. Usually there's a 6-lane road or something. And what we found is that the valuations that the county gets as far as tax revenue per acre are a lot higher, sometimes 10 and even 20% higher in communities that have good bike access. So we said, if we build this trail, it might cost a lot of money. It might cost several $1 million. But if property values go up even a small fraction of what we're finding in our study, it could pay for itself in millions of dollars over the first 5 years, first 10 years, first 15 years. So anyway, I encourage you to spread the love with this study around your administration. Have people take a look, comment, critique if you wish. And the Washington Area Bicyclist Association will be happy to talk with you if you're interested in helping us with a release event, and that applies to all the elected officials. We have great trails in the northern part of the county, but we're working to try and improve them in the southern part of the county and the central part of the county too, where you have a lot of places where it's really not safe to get through. And this particular trail, you could connect from DC all the way up toward Baltimore eventually, and it might be a tourist attraction, bring people through the county. So thank you very much. And one final thing, WABA has a ride coming through this area on Saturday. It's called our Cider Ride. It starts in DC. As of last week, we had 420 bike riders signed up, probably be 500 before it's done. Saturday, coming up through Hyattsville, going through College Park, and then Greenbelt, and coming back to DC. So we're going to be showing off the county, and you're all invited.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. County Executive, distinguished panel members. My name is David Brown. I'm a South County resident. I call myself the energy guy. I'm here to ask more of a question than actually to make a statement. I'm building advocacy and knowledge about responsible energy issues in the county and the DMV in general. And I'm curious to know, after we've heard recently about the recent merger with Pepco and Exelon, what the impact might be, or whether your administration has done any investigatory work into the impact on the state or county energy assistance programs. And also, as we start to get many different solicitations for deregulated energy supply services, whether there is any relationship with Pepco or Exelon with the emergency assistance programs, or whether we might be free to make, or the participants in those programs might be free to make changes to their energy service suppliers where necessary or where they see that as an economic benefit. So I'll be happy to take your answer, or the environmental or public works.
Thomas Himmler, and next, standing next to him is Adam Ortiz. So two experts on this. I'll be glad to talk to you. See how excited they are? I told you.
Might they have anything to say whether there's been any investigation into the impact that might happen?
Yep, that's what.
Next up, we have Chris Casey and Michael Alafi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Chris Casey. I am a resident of Greenbelt. I want to start out by thanking Mr. Baker for restoring integrity to the county executive office. Very important to us. I'm a member of a group called Prince George's County Advocates for Better Schools. We asked Superintendent Maxwell to hold town hall meetings with parents interested in learning details of the school system's strategic plan. So we'd appreciate your urging him to do that. Secondly, our group seeks to constructively engage with the school board's Family and Community Engagement Committee, as well as its parent advisory group. However, it doesn't seem as though they solicit much engagement from the community, so we'd appreciate your urging them to do so. And lastly, as you're probably aware, there are non-public schools in the metro area that serve learning disabled students in the county that cannot be adequately served by the special ed programs in the county schools. However, in spite of the fact that these schools that are part of the continuum of services for students with those learning disabilities, there is an unequal and different funding formula applied to supporting them, and they are critical schools, teachers who are dedicated, who are paid considerably less than public school teachers, and I'd appreciate the county executive and others' review of this practice. It's really quite unfair, and the schools deserve as much as our public schools insofar as they're serving the same students. So thank you for listening, and thank you for the listening session.
Thank you, Sheila. I was going to see, and Betty Francis in the back there is going to make sure. So 2 people are going to be looking for you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Baker. I've been seeing you in Channel 9, Channel 4. And also, I want to talk about the transportation, about the metro access.
Okay.
But some of us have entered the metro access before. Look at the new drivers; they have not been training them well. Look at all what is going on in this. And also, I want to thank all these Prince George's fire people who are helping us out. We need more security. We need more police. I want to speak to them because I know I've been seeing you before. You have been nice to us. I want you all to come and visit us. My sister Rochelle, and also Miss Jackson, and also Miss Sheila. Shannon is not here with us. Mm-hmm. We want you to come and visit us at at Prince George's County. We want to tell you all that we love you. We're praying for you, and also let me tell you, please pray for us in Africa. We have fighting going on there. Please, we need your help. Thank you all. God bless you. God bless Mr. Baker. God bless you.
God bless you, and thank you for testifying, and we're praying for you, and we love you.
Next is Andy Culp, and on deck is Sharon Wirtz.
Good evening, Mr. Baker.
Good evening.
I'm Andy Culp, and I work in Prince George's County, and I'm part of the Prince George's Provider Council. And we're a collection of about 21 providers in the county who support people with intellectual disabilities. I'm also a mother of a person with disabilities, and thankfully my son doesn't have the level of disability that would qualify him for these kinds of services. But if he did, I would want to make sure that he was getting services from the most qualified people we could find. Our direct support staff number about 1,500 people in the county who live and work in the county, and they do a lot of work. They have to have 60 hours of training to work with the people we support, and they barely make above minimum wage. And in the county, as you've heard earlier from some of my colleagues, it's been really difficult to pay because our funding is primarily state funding. Over 90% of our funding is state funding, and it's based on the state minimum wage. So when the county increased its minimum wage, we thought that was great, but now we don't have enough to make ends meet. And over 60% of our provider group reported operating losses in fiscal year 14. So that's a whole year behind the data we've got, and I'm expecting that we'll probably have more this year. So this year we're going to be asking for your help and a supplement so that we can make ends meet and some of our agencies don't fail, and we can continue to provide good supports to people with disabilities in the county. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to come say hi. I think the girl misunderstood me about speaking, but I will speak. I work with Central Kenilworth Avenue Revitalization, and my group does interact with our delegates, and we thank them for their support and the work that they do to help support Central Kenilworth Avenue Revitalization. We meet here on Kenilworth Avenue. We've been at it with close forums. We did it in 2007 with much support from Olson's office earlier, now Danielle, and we just appreciate the support we're getting some from the county. I do encourage people that aren't otherwise engaged in their groups to work with their school system to help better their communities. I'm worried about something I heard with Alonzo recently about our suspension rate, and that affects our quality of life in our areas, in and around our homes, and getting people to move into our county, getting better jobs in our county because of our school systems. And I appreciate the envision he has to work with our youth closely. We've had recent talks on that, and I'd like to be a part of that. But I encourage all of the guests prior to me that have reached out to you from the people with disabilities. My husband now is on dialysis, and it is a problem with Metro Access. He luckily is able to get down and on the bus right now to go. But we do need to help our homeless, and we do need to help our people with disabilities. And I'd like to see some money appropriated into the schools for our children, our young children with disabilities, to have a better quality of life there. Especially, I visited recently when I was helping campaigning for Danielle in a bathroom in a school, and it was for disabilities, and I just about cried. To this day, I think about a young little girl having to use the bathroom in that facility. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mary Babbitt and Stephen Sonnet.
Good evening, Mr. Baker, and
Good
thank
evening.
you for this listening session. The homeless, I've heard that once only tonight. I think this is a concern for all of us, and it does touch all of our lives in some way. In our county, I have visited Prince George's House, very limited number of accommodations. We are concerned for all of our homeless, but I think especially for those with mental disabilities and our veterans. And I think that we owe it to them to make provision to help them along the way. In particular, I'm interested in knowing what the county is doing with the properties, the foreclosed properties, the abandoned properties that could be possibly used for accommodations for the homeless, and for you to know that there are many people in the community that are willing to help and want to help if we could receive some guidance how to do this. There are nonprofits and there are churches. So there are many communities of people and an abundance of talent that could be utilized. So I think my purpose in being here tonight is to ask for also your input and your guidance for us, how we can help to alleviate our homeless situation in Prince George's County. I just wanted to mention, I know it's increasing. I just read an article in the Washington Post that at Reagan National Airport, they are reducing the number of hours that the airport is open. And so that is going to leave, I guess, a large number of homeless people who had been using that facility as their home, where to go. I don't know whether they would come to Prince George's County or wherever. In, I believe it's Arlington, there's a new facility, it's already filled. So it's kind of a universal problem, but please know that, we want to help, and if you could give us guidance. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And Ms. France is back there, and I know with our housing director. And also, one of the things that we were talking about this Last week, I was on a panel with the mayor of the District of Columbia, and before that, with the county executive from Montgomery County. One of the things that we pledged to do as a region is really address our homeless issue. So that's something you should know, that as a region, both the district and Montgomery County are working in conjunction with us. So we will get you that information. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Baker. My name is Steve Sonnet. I'm the president of the town of Upper Marlboro.
Yes.
Delegates and council members. The town of Upper Marlboro has been the county seat since 1721. I was not president at that time.
Neither was I.
During the summer, there were some ambiguous news reports about discussions of moving the county seat to Largo, and that there was a number of $12 million in cost to do that move. We have, as a town, have passed a resolution opposing that, and what I'm here is to help you satisfy all these other people. Don't budget that $12 million to move out of town and help these other people. It's really better spent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very generous.
Next up is Sydney Jacobs, and on deck is Marion Owacheku. Is that correct? I'm sure that's not right.
You got the mic?
Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you for the opportunity to speak at this forum. I'm Sydney Jacobs of Adelphi, Maryland. I represent the executive committee of the Sierra Club's Prince George's Group. So here's an interesting statistic. 4 billion beverage containers are purchased in Maryland every year. That's with a B, billion. Less than 1/4 of them are recycled. That means that more than 3 billion plastic, aluminum, and glass containers end up in landfills, incinerators, and as litter. Anyone who spends time recreating on our waterways, driving our roads and highways, or visiting parks and beaches knows that beverage containers make up a significant part of the litter polluting our outdoor spaces. The good news is that we can do something about this problem. Maryland has the opportunity to join 10 other states and pass a bill that would encourage recycling by offering a 5-cent redeemable deposit on aluminum, plastic, and glass containers sold in Maryland. In states with a refundable deposit, recycling rates are 3 times higher than they are in Maryland. The Redeemable Beverage Container and Litter Reduction Program, aka the Bottle Bill, will be introduced in the General Assembly in January. In addition to significantly reducing litter in our state, the Bottle Bill has other benefits. Recycling glass, plastic, and aluminum uses less energy than using raw materials. Reusing aluminum saves 95% of the energy required to make products from ore. Another benefit is the increase of revenues from recyclable commodities. Under a beverage container deposit program that tripled the recycling rate, county revenues could increase from an estimated $18 million to $50 million annually. Not only is there more product, that product is higher quality than what is collected in our current single-stream recycling program. And of course, the cost of litter cleanup would be reduced. In Maryland, litter collection costs the 3 largest counties about $16 million annually. In states with deposit programs, those costs are reduced 20 to 30%. Finally, this program places responsibility for beverage container recycling with the industries that produce these products and the consumers who use them. It's self-financing and doesn't require public funds to operate. A deposit on containers is one of the most important actions that can improve trash pollution of our waterways.
30 seconds.
It's time Maryland implemented this program, and I look forward to further discussions about the many benefits of redeemable beverage container bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you know who's introducing the bill in the General Assembly? You said there's a bill going to be introduced. Do you know whose bill it is?
Ferguson and Fresh.
Okay. Oh, that's right. It's a state one. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. Good evening, county exec and respective affiliates. My apologies, I'm getting over a cold. That's the reason for my raspy voice. My name is Mariama Onwuchekwa, and I'm an energy waste organizer with Energy Justice Network. And I'm also a proud citizen of Prince George's County. I was born and raised in this county. I come before you right now with a concern regarding the waste system in our county. There's a massive problem with incinerators in the landfill. Currently, the state of Maryland is working on a statewide zero waste plan that seems to think that incineration is a need that includes, that is necessary to control the waste. However, there are steps that can prevent us leaning towards incinerators and leaning more towards zero waste in tactics such as using the zero waste hierarchy of reducing, reusing, recycling, composting, and more. Detailed from these specific steps that I've mentioned, we can anaerobically compost, we can MBT or mechanically biological treatment our waste. There's also job creation when we lean towards zero waste and not towards incinerators and landfills. The job creation has a potential of about 5 to 10 times more jobs than landfilling or incinerations. I'm not even going to speak on the health issues because many of the people in this room may be the recipients of breathing in the toxics, the toxins, the fumes from the landfills, from the incinerators. Let's also remember residents, employees of Prince George's County, and all those affiliated with Prince George's County. Incinerators have a tendency to be planted in communities that are with people of color. It is a form of environmental racism. All of this, my frustration, county exec, and all those affiliated, leads to me to conclude that I would like to beseech to all of you, excuse me, on the panel, to work towards an agreement in transforming Prince George's County into a county that is a continued treasure, but a county that also operates with zero waste. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Lois Staves and Nick Halucci.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lois Staves. I'm a proud PG County homeowner. I've owned my home for 36 years. Last year I was here and I spoke about the weatherization program, which I wasn't understanding. And they did get in touch with me, and I was told that I needed home repairs before they would submit their work. This would lead to a second mortgage. I'm a senior citizen, disabled. It frightens me to take a second mortgage. I've been in my home for 36 years, you know. I've known people to lose their homes on the second mortgage once they're disabled, once they're a senior. I would beseech the county to give us an option of finding something other than a second mortgage. I am a viable participant in my county. I belong to an organization called I3. I give back to my community. I do whatever I can to service. We've formed a nonprofit organization to service the disabled and the seniors. We work diligently to give back to the community. I'd appreciate some consideration for homeowners in my position. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody from our staff will be in contact with you. I'm looking over at Tom, Barry, Adam. Yeah.
Good evening, and thank you for this event that brings together the county leadership and its citizens. It's a great opportunity to voice our views. My name is Nick Lukey. I'm here as president of the ARC of Prince George's County. It's an organization that provides services and advocacy for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, it's easy for me to say, and their families. In addition, I'm also the parent of a profoundly autistic young man. He's 44 years old. He's never said a word in his life. I like to focus on our county's minimum wage requirements and what I think must certainly be unintended consequences of how it impacts the individuals and families we serve at the ARC. For many years, the State Developmental Disabilities Administration has worked to support a rate of pay for direct support professionals that work with individuals with developmental disabilities, and at a rate that's above the state's minimum wage because of the skill and demanding nature of the work that's involved. For example, as you've already heard, it's a minimum of 60 hours of training before they even work with a single individual with disabilities. In 2014, the state legislature passed a bill that increased the state's minimum wage, and at the same time, it provided a higher rate of reimbursement for direct support professionals in an effort to ensure that these critical positions would not become minimum wage jobs. At the same time that the state was increasing the minimum wage, Prince George's and Montgomery counties passed legislation that increased their minimum wages significantly higher than the state's. This means that without additional funding from the county government, county providers, like the ARC, will not be able to meet the county's minimum wage requirements, which could result in thousands of direct support positions becoming minimum wage jobs or not being filled at all. The consequences for county residents we serve at the ARC, for example, could be disastrous. We must have county assume some responsibility as a partner with the developmental disabilities community on an annual basis to ensure that we can continue to provide quality services to county residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We have a physical infrastructure that's been built up and that's supported and maintained by the county. We also have a social infrastructure that we've built up, but that is not being maintained very well now by the county. And we ask that this infrastructure also be supported and maintained. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, and thank you for the work you're doing.
Next up is Michael Gantz, and on deck is Carol Plotnick.
I'm going to speak on some similar issues of my colleagues here. I would like to start by thanking County Executive Rashern Baker for hosting this listening session tonight.
Thank you.
My name is, of course, Michael Glanz, and I live in Accokeek. I'm here representing the Prince George's County Provider Council as the Vice Chair and one of its member agencies, Melwood, as the Vice President of Community Services. I'm here tonight to advocate for the Providers Council's vision and mission to secure adequate resources for people with disabilities to be valued members of their local community with the support of appropriately compensated staff. The work that is done in Prince George's County by community providers supports 2,451 people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in vital services such as residential, supportive employment, day services, and community services. Our collective efforts employ more than 1,500 direct support professionals in the county. These direct support professionals are caregivers providing intimate care and support to the people served. The wage rate that is included in state funding for these professional staff is currently insufficient specifically because of Prince George's County's higher minimum wage. The professionals we support require skills, training and education, work autonomy, and field experience, and the work they complete should never be considered a minimum wage job. These vital services I have described are in jeopardy of being degraded as the gap between our state-level reimbursement and what is needed in Prince George's County to keep parity widens. This wider gap is the future of our sector, and it is all but impossible for our sector to weather the coming storm without assistance from the county. In FY14, the last fully audited year, 60% of providers in the county had operating losses in their DDA services. Those agencies with operating losses support 1,640 Prince George's County residents with developmental disabilities. They continue to support these residents because of their missions, but they cannot sustainably meet their missions without the ability to create a margin. I hope that you take these facts into consideration during the upcoming legislative session. Myself and all of the Prince George's County providers want to continue to work together to build a better county that cares for all of its citizens regardless of their abilities. Thank you for my time to speak tonight.
No, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Baker and
Good evening.
members. I'm happy to be here. I'm a Prince George's resident, been in Laurel since 1981, and I want to speak about Laurel Regional Hospital. We really need that full-service hospital. I urge you all to do what you can to try to solve this issue that has been going on, that surprised us at the end of August, out of nowhere. I've written some letters to the governor, and I received one back from him and also from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. The one from DHMH was talking about the decrease in hospital admissions there, and that was the main reason for closing the hospital. I find this to be a big mystery for 2 points. One is, why have admissions gone down even just a little bit when the population has gone up in Laurel? We are a bedroom community, so to speak, for both DC and Baltimore. And with an increasing number of people, you would think there would be an increase in admissions. I sort of feel that I think there has been some mismanagement on the line of Dimensions healthcare systems. They made this announcement about the closing very suddenly, and I attended some of the other meetings watching that, and it just doesn't seem right. Something doesn't fit. There's been a breakdown in communication and no transparency in that issue. Second point is, Laurel's population is still on the rise, and what are we going to do with all these additional people? Probably within the next year, 3,000 new housing units are opening in Laurel, right next to the railroad tracks. And then there's the Conterra development.
Right.
We're not sure how many are coming out of that. Like I say, Laurel has become one of the most important bedroom communities in that area, and it does need that full-service hospital. Please support it. Please do not close our hospital. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Aaron Markowitz and Michael Mons.
Good evening. Aaron Markovich, Anacostia Trails Heritage Area, Maryland Milestones. As you all may remember, War of 1812 and other fun activities over the last few years. We should never do that again. No, it was a great time. I do want to say thank you for the support that County Exec you provided me, and really everybody here at this diocese has provided Anacostia Trails over the last few years. We're looking forward to a great year coming up. With moving into a new visitor center space at the Pyramid Atlantic project in Hyattsville. I wanted to give you two items tonight. One is looking at, we're part of a larger group called the Prince George's County History Consortium. This is a group of historic sites around the county looking to improve visitation. Some are park and planning spaces, some are not, such as Greenbelt Museum, Laurel Museum, so on and so forth. They're looking to improve the tourism infrastructure. So that everybody understands, the Conference and Visitors Bureau is trying to attract people to the places that are visitor ready. And many times our sites are not visitor ready. They're not quite up to snuff for visitors to come. And we're on the doorstep of DC, and we should be bringing people to those places. And we're looking towards the creation of a cultural tourism plan that may include the growth of Anacostia Trails into a countywide program. I wanted to note that Glendale Hospital, an interesting project in the county, was just listed as a 6 to fix by Preservation Maryland, and that may be coming. So we've got a lot of those historic and arts-related things, but one of the things that I wanted to make sure I mentioned tonight and have part of the conversation, we've heard a lot about transit, sidewalks, paths, ability to walk different places, to travel different places. We've got trail openings coming next year. Hopefully by October of 2016, we will have the trail open into DC, that you'll be able to ride your bike or walk all the way from downtown DC to Prince George's County. And these trails, as was heard earlier, are an economic development boost, not only for property taxes, but then the ability for those bicyclists, they stay longer, spend more, and look for a higher quality product. And with our new hotels and development, things like the food truck legislation recently, those kinds of bicyclists are looking for that type of food options. So these things need to connect. As we look in towards bike share and rentals, my request is that the county exec, maybe there is a space at the policy level for a, if you will, bike czar. Someone who can really look at these issues around the county and make the connections throughout the county. There is a new one in the DPWT, and maybe that person is that position, but we really want to make sure that there is a bike czar, if you will. Thank you.
Yeah, we like that. They're excited about, Daryl, excited about that. He can talk to you. And Adam Ortiz, has a personal favorite around that. So we're going to combine two of these agencies. Thank you. Yes, young man.
Good evening. My name is Michael Morris. I'm assuming that's what you meant. So along with abusing chickens for a quick, and my proper introduction, my name is Michael Morris. I am a volunteer for Food and Water Watch. So here we go. So along with abusing chickens for a quick profit, poultry companies plan on doing the same thing with humans. Big poultry companies like Tyson and Purdue are eagerly planning on building a chicken poop incinerator in Somerset County. So you may be asking yourselves, what's the harm in that? Burning chicken manure releases toxins like carbon monoxide, arsenic, sulfur dioxide, sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, dioxin, nitrogen oxides, and PM10. All these colorless and odorless pollutants have been known to cause cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and respiratory diseases. Now, some of you might be asking yourselves, what does this have to do with this county, or my family, or me? One clear example would be that trash incineration is currently being considered as a source of energy in this county, and trash incineration gives off some of the same pollutants as chicken manure incineration. So my point being, if these corporations have no problem putting Somerset residents in danger, then I doubt they'll lose any sleep endangering residents of this county, or Montgomery County, or Anne Arundel County. Unbelievably, burning chicken manure is currently considered clean, and is currently in Maryland's renewable portfolio standard, along with actual clean energy sources like wind and solar. So on behalf of every breathing creature in Maryland, I'm asking you, all of you, to clean up Maryland's renewable portfolio standard. Thank you.
Thank you, young man.
Next up is Quentin Vaciano, I guess it is, and Eugene Lee.
How you doing?
Good. If you could step to the mic for us. I want to make sure we hear every word you say.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having this meeting, Mr. Baker. I'm actually here for my business, which is a different issue. I've spoken before. We were at the Prince George's Learning and Sports Complex. I spoke to this gentleman, spoke to Mr. Himmler. Nothing has happened. But you said something about the Board of Education or something like that is here. So I'm going to try to get two issues in, and this is more important because it's about my child. My child, Nala Vaciani, she's in the 2nd grade. She's a straight A student. She was accepted into the Talented and Gifted program in Prince George's County. We know how valuable education is. Education stops children from, probably getting pregnant early, being on drugs and doing different things. She has straight A's. She was accepted into the Talented and Gifted program. I enrolled her in the school. They then called me and saying they couldn't find her test results. And the testing isn't a math or science or social studies or reading. It's a cognitive thinking test. Okay, so I called the TAG program, and the TAG program said this never happened before. So they said, Valley View dropped the ball. Well, her mom and I were in custody battle about my daughter. Her mom has since been murdered about 2 months ago.
Oh my gosh. Peter.
All right. But anyway, I just want to keep. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay. We weren't together or anything like that. I just wanted to keep my daughter in the program because her mother enrolled her in the program. And I'm trying to do my best to get my daughter the best education so she's not on welfare, so she's not asking anybody for anything.
Don't worry.
And they've taken her out. The principal didn't want her to be taken out. The teacher didn't want her to be taken out. And they took her out anyway because she didn't do as well on the cognitive test. And I don't think that that's fair.
She got straight A's. She went into the program and she got straight A's.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to see Betty Francis back there. We're going to sing right back there to her, okay?
Okay, that's not it. I'm sorry. It just gets real emotional because it's my child.
No, I
and she's
understand.
doing well. So, anyway, so let's move on to the second issue. Yes, all right, let's move on to the second issue. I'm sorry.
That's
But anyway, all right, so I'm a small business owner in Prince George's County. I have a dealership, a small dealership. It's called Q's Quality Cars on Central Avenue. I spoke to you before. I spoke to you on Central Avenue. Somebody else's child got killed, and you were there at an old gas station or something. You told me to talk to Jason Williams, which was your assistant at the time. You told me you were going to help me buy the property that's behind me that had a $240,000 tax lien on the property. It's only assessed at $35,900. I just wanted to expand my business. I get emails all the time about how, the county is for helping minority businesses or small businesses. I spoke to this gentleman here before. He remembers me walking me to my car. You directed me over to Mr. Himmler, which I don't see anymore, and I keep getting all this chat. It's been 3 years. I spoke to Linda Allen. I mean, I'm not asking anybody to give me anything. I'm asking to purchase this property, and I've talked to you before. I've talked to Jim before. I'm just asking, can you help a small business out? That's all I'm asking. Can somebody make something happen this time? This is not the first speaking session that I've been to.
Well, let's do this right now. We're going to send you back here to Betty, talk about your daughter, and then I'll have a conversation with Tom and Calvin. You go over there also?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Why don't you, sir, why don't you come closer to the mic so we all can hear?
Is that better?
Yeah, it is.
It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Baker.
It's an honor to meet you.
I think I know Gladys from visiting the condo meeting, I think, right? Is that Mayor?
No.
Jordan? No? Okay. Anyway, I feel honored to be here.
They look alike. That's legitimate.
Okay. All seriousness aside here, my condolences to the man that suffered such tragedy, just like people that die in the church van. Terrible. Let me introduce myself. I've been here in the U.S. since '53. Coming from China, so I appreciate democracy. Okay, coming from a communist country. Okay, and I know, Mr. Baker, you're connected with Ms. Bowser, who's in Beijing, I think, arranging a sister relationship with D.C. there. Also with Leggett, is it Montgomery County?
That's correct.
Okay, actually, my concern started when I noticed in Montgomery County that they have a law as to go to effect on January 1st. They require HOA members to undergo formal training. I think it's a good thing to have, because in my 41 years in one condo in Chelsea Wood, I've seen the board vicissitude, lots up and downs, and now it comes to the point where the board is violating not only its own bylaw, Maryland bylaw, and without impunity, with impunity. Is that?
No, that's not.
Okay. Now, I appreciate democracy. Okay. The last time I had public speaking was at my mother's 103 birthday.
Oh wow!
I had to read up on from speaking about I think Mayor Cuomo, is it? Tell me how to do. Imagine you're naked, okay? So you're naked. Okay, my request for the Your Honor is to have such a law passed in PG County requiring similar board members to undergo courses. I've been active in my 41 years, communities, cleanup. I fully sympathize with the trash, talk about bike path and...
Now, that buzzer is for you.
The what?
Yes, your time is up.
Oh, okay. So I appreciate if you can have such. I'm with. I've been talking with Johnny Hicks about the common ownership. So I appreciate it.
We've got that. We got
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Joseph Sanford, and on deck, I believe that's Quita Osborne.
Oh.
Hello, my name is Joseph Sanford, and I'm 11 years old.
Hold it, Joseph. Your mom's trying to get a good picture. Can you get a good picture? You got it? You good? All right. Your time ain't started yet. All right. Go.
I live in Bowie, Maryland, and I go to Samuel Ogle Middle School. I play soccer for Future Monarch Red U13. I am excited for new turf fields at high schools because it's a better playing surface. I want more turf fields because I believe that they are safer to play on. After watching a news report on if turf can give you cancer, I think that scientists should further investigate other factors of people getting cancer on turf fields. With more turf fields, youth sports could continue throughout the year. People could also get daily exercise, and the fields won't need much maintenance. An alternative for the rubber crumbs is a coconut-based fiber. This should stay a top priority because as of 2010, statistics suggest that as many as 25% of all soccer injuries result from poor field conditions. Thank you.
Very good.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
My
you.
name is Perquita Osborne. I am Vice President of the St. Barnabas Village HOA. I have 3 concerns that I want to address this evening.
Okay.
I'm a concerned citizen for financial waste here in Prince George's County. And I have to admit that the first red flag I have seen in my area on St. Barnabas Village has been replacement of sidewalks 3 times along St. Barnabas Road within 2.5 years. Not repair, replaced. Okay. The second one is running water from a broken main pipe that was reported September 3rd, and it has not been addressed. Now, the water started along Fraser Lane, I understand. The WSSC has been to my home about it twice because now it's running. I live on a lowland. It's a small little bedroom community. We're very proud of it. But now the water has run onto my property under my driveway, and it has been running for almost 2 months now. Okay. Now, the next thing I wanted to discuss with the waste situation is St. Barnabas Road has been repaired for, I know, all of this year and half of last year, and we have yet to have it repaved, okay, along St. Barnabas Road and Branch Avenue. It is disgraceful, okay. So with all of that waste and everything and the concerns along those lines, the homeowners at St. Barnabas Village, we have no entrance lights there. Our concern is safety, as 2/3 of our community is retiring. And so we wanted to put lighting at the entrance of St. Barnabas Road and Fraser Terrace. We were denied that. We were going to incur all costs and liability just to go under Fraser Terrace, not the main street, just under our Fraser Terrace street, so that we could have conductor on both sides. So I'd like to have someone to meet with me so that we can discuss the water that's still running on St. Barnabas Road and into my property. Also, the fact that someone is double billing, triple billing the county. I'm telling you what I see. And then also, if we could get the lighting situation addressed.
Thank you very much. Daryl, is this you, ma'am? That gentleman right there is excited about helping you, and he's got a bunch of folks with him. Look at him, he's really excited. They're ready. They might be going to check on that water tonight. All right, that's what we like to see.
Next up is Amber Woods, and on deck is Karen Copeland.
Miss Woods had to leave. The Metro access.
Oh, okay. We're very sorry about that.
Karen Coakley coming up, and behind her will be Peter Hogan.
Hi, Karen.
Good evening, Mr. County Executive, Senator, council members, and delegates. I'm here also to speak on behalf of Laurel Regional Hospital. For those of you who don't know the history of Laurel Regional Hospital, it was originally the Laurel Beltsville Hospital, and the Laurel Beltsville community spent many, many years lobbying for that facility. I goofed on the memo that went out. Others are wearing white. I'm in black. And you know what? I decided to take advantage of it. I'm in mourning because I cannot believe that the northern part of the county is going to lose a hospital. To leave us with an emergency room, South County has 2 hospitals. The central part of the county has 2 hospitals and an emergency room. You're going to stiff the northern part of the county with zip, zilch, zero, nada. No hospital. We also happen to have the largest growth spurt between the 29 corridor of Montgomery County and the Baltimore-Washington corridor, going from the Beltway up into Howard and Anne Arundel County. The development in Conterra, the development on our border in Montgomery County, the development in the southwest portion of Howard County, and the development in Anne Arundel County. You are leaving our residents with nowhere to go. And when you strip away the services at Laurel Regional, the when somebody does have an emergency, as was mentioned before, those people are not going to be taken to Laurel Regional. They will be taken out of the community, meaning more time out of the community for the emergency units. Now, another question I have, because there's several things floating around there. Y'all going to pick up the $25 million tab to give us an emergency room? Because, there's been no mention of where the $25 million for our emergency room is coming from. Years ago, Adventist approached Dimensions to acquire the facility. They were told no. This community needs a hospital. The old saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Please get rid of Dimensions and let someone else come in and take over that facility. Do not leave the Laurel Beltsville region with no hospital. Thank you very much. One last commercial. High Point, oldest high school in the county. You knew I wasn't going to forget that one. My 1 second commercial. High Point is the oldest high school in the county that has never been rebuilt or renovated, and every single one of you at this table have constituents that go to that school. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Let me just say, just in case we get any more speakers on the Laurel Hospital, I did have a meeting this afternoon with the mayor, Mayor Moe, and I did tell him I would announce tonight that we are meeting. We met this afternoon, and we're going to put a work group together. So I did want to let you know that he is on the job. I think he's being sworn in tonight. You know what, Karen? You can't yell from the back. All right. Oh, we got another speaker up here. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Peter Holden. I'm Executive Director of New Horizons Supported Services. It's been
our neighbor in Cheverly.
Yes. It's been a nonprofit in Prince George's County since 1969. And this Saturday, I'm just going to throw this in. This Saturday, the 14th, we're participating with Prince George's County in Keep America Beautiful campaign, nationwide recycling, environmental green. The reason I signed up and mentioned that is because it's about jobs. Jobs here in Prince George's County for the nonprofits that support people with disabilities are in jeopardy, serious jeopardy. The message that we have tonight, and you've heard some of my colleagues tonight, is that the same message that we had last spring when we addressed the county budget and also the state budget. Some 1,500 employees countywide are facing a jeopardy in their jobs all these nonprofits who serve over 2,600 people with disabilities, with a payroll of over $30 million in this county, are in jeopardy. The minimum wage increase we cannot afford to implement. Simple as that. I'll refer to it as an unfunded mandate. You've heard from some of my colleagues again. What is required is the county's help with local support, funding to ensure that we can obey the law. We need to obey the law, obviously. Montgomery County has stepped up, and Montgomery County is providing support. Without your support, our agency and many others providing critical services to our county's citizens with disabilities are at risk of going out of business, very simply put. County Executive Baker, what do we do? The state of Maryland gave us 3%. The minimum wage increase in the county just in this past October is over 10%. There's a gap.
Yeah.
How do we bridge that gap and stay in business? Tonight, I think your county delegates and providers are asking for a commitment of support. We're looking for support to match our actions with funding. We appreciate the actions. We want to pay our staff more. But without money to do it, what do? We thank you very much also for creating jobs in Prince George's County and Cheverly for recycling, and we want to make sure those jobs continue. You've been there, you know how important it is to 676 people. These jobs must continue, and we ask you for a commitment of support, please. So thank you all, and pleasant dreams.
Thank you.
Next up is Teresa Dudley, and on deck is Belinda Queen Howard.
That's right. I make sure I look good for them.
There you go. The camera's rolling.
Good evening.
Good
It's good to see everybody.
Good evening.
Courtney, congratulations on your recent election. I just want to make sure I said that. And I'd like to say hello to my senator, Victor Ramirez. It's nice to see good representation.
Thank you.
I'm here today for a couple of reasons. One is I am the president of Prince George's County Educators Association. I was elected in July. I took office. And I'm very concerned about a couple of things. One, I'm concerned about making sure that in line with what Delegate Alonzo Washington is working on in reducing the suspension rate, is for our county to take a real look at restorative practices as a means to eliminate some of the suspensions that are happening. Our children are at a significant disadvantage because most of our children that are being suspended for insubordination. Now, I don't know what insubordination looks like. All I know is that I was suspended at least 9 times when I was in school for stuff, and none of it was insubordination. But hey, I turned out all right, okay? So we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The other issue that our schools are facing right now clearly is the fact that we are having a significant turnover of teachers on an annual basis. This year we had to hire close to 800 new teachers, new to the system. It's a very challenging thing for us to continue to train them. And so what we're looking at is our peer assistance and review program, where teachers evaluate other teachers and support them their first year. Right now, we're triaging those new teachers, and only the ones that are struggling are receiving the service. So a teacher who's just kind of okay getting it is not getting the support that they need. And I know that they need that. So I'm asking you to take a look at those two things along with time to learn, time to teach. And Senator Ramirez, as you move to the General Assembly this session, there will be legislation from the Maryland State Educators Association giving us time to teach. Our children are at a significant disadvantage because they have higher needs. They need even more time in the classroom, and they're significantly losing out because of the tremendous amount of testing that's going on. I'm gonna take that hat off for a second. I got 1 minute. And this is Teresa Dudley, civic activist and member of the Prince George's County Democratic Central Committee, okay? I'm very concerned about Landover Road. I heard comments tonight about the bike route going up and down Landover Road. And I don't know about anybody else, but I would be afraid to walk up and down Landover Road, never mind ride a bike up and down Landover Road. because of how fast people are coming down that street. One of my son's best friends was killed outside of my back door because I live on Landover Road. About 4 or 5 years ago, he was killed crossing the street at that stoplight because people are coming down there too fast. They came in, they put crossing signage down by Kenmore Middle School, and they've put cut the sidewalks for people with disabilities, which I appreciate that. However, people are still flying down the street, and the people that are getting run down and killed in the street are being treated like animals, because the people who are being hit might be the people who are coming stumbling out of the liquor store, but we can talk about those hours later. But the issue is they don't have advocates for them. So we need to do what we can, because no child like my son's friend should be run down in the street.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa.
Greetings to everybody. I said I was going to come drag my husband out. I wasn't going to speak, but how can I be elected and not represent my people? So, I'm speaking. I'm asking you that you keep Addison Roadway and Morgan Boulevard in the revitalization program for Prince George's County and Central High School. It's a lot that needs to be done. They are inside the Beltway, but a lot can be done with that area, so please keep it in your plan. Next, I have great concerns about the completion of Walker Mill Park. Even though I'm on a Park and Recreation Advisory Board, we'll talk about that later because I really think it's just a joke. But past completion date and money was already allotted by past administration for the park and Central Prince George's County, and the dates are passed and nothing has been done with that park. I have concerns. It's been too long. A lot of things have not been done inside the workway, the Beltway, and it needs to be addressed. One other thing that housing came out and spoke at my coffee circle meeting, and I appreciate the director and his staff coming out, but they told us about programs, and then once the citizens called on it, including me, we were put on a waiting list, and then we were told that funds were no longer available. I think citizens need to be updated on things as far as grants, and I think it needs to go out to all citizens, not just some, when funds are available. I also want to ditto all the requests of every person that's here, especially my fellow disabled citizens, because if people took time out to come here and speak, I think we need to listen to everything they said. So I also want to address that, because a lot of us could be sitting at home holding up remote and just flicking TV, but we took time to come out here to fight for our communities and our residents and our families and our businesses because we are concerned. Last but not least, as unions fight for fair wages and benefits for employees, we expect our elected officials to do the same. Okay, for non-union companies, for non-union paid, and equality for fair scheduling, and for earned sick leave for all residents of our county. We expect you to act like a union because you are elected. Last but not least, so yes, we must all stay engaged, keep involved, and empower ourselves in the everyday decisions of this county because we love Prince George's County. And we elect you, and we expect you to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, excuse me, Steve Gershman, and on deck is Tom Denoga.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate
we can
the
ask you to
opportunity
step a little closer to the mic, so we want to make sure everyone in the back can hear you.
My name is Steve Gershman. I'm the president of the Sherwood Forest Citizens Association, representing approximately 450 homes off of Woodyard Road in Upper Marlboro. The purpose of my discussion this evening is based on the potential budget cut to the police department and specifically District 5. Over the years, we've had a great partnership between the community and District 5, including what I consider is one of the best models of the community working with the police department to solve a lot of the crimes in the area. I do have a copy of the past 5 years of crime in the area, and it is the lowest in the past 5 years. I did send an advance copy of this afternoon, and my concern is twofold. With the majority of the funds going to education, I think there's an opportunity to conduct an audit and possibly to administer some performance metrics to take a look at how the monies are being spent. Are we getting most bang for the buck? Is there an opportunity for better sourcing, competitive procurement, contracting, and see if we can offset some of these large expenses and get better value for the taxpayers? So what I do is I have two recommendations.
Okay.
First one is the public safety and the fiscal management and the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee should work together with the Police Chiefs Citizens Advisory Council and articulate the proposed budget cuts, develop joint impact statements, and develop a plan to address the significant shortfall of new police recruits, pending and immediate police officers that are retiring, specifically address the increased commercial building and new housing public safety concerns. The second recommendation is due to the size of the Board of Education budget, 62.8%. A basic audit over the past 5 years may provide opportunities for greater efficiency and effectiveness in the obligation and expenditure of these funds. More specifically, application of something similar to the Malcolm Baldrige or Lean Six Sigma or other performance metrics methodology criteria could be employed to assist in greater accountability and a more robust fiscal responsibility. This would also lend itself to greater buying power and return on investments. Thank you for your continued commitment and hard work in making Prince George's County a leader, and for your time and attention this evening.
Thank you very much, and I know that Barry Stanton heard that, and Betty Francis, so we'll have those two. And I think, did we get a copy of this? Great.
I do have.
Do you have extra one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me approach the bench.
Good evening. You may not remember me, but you might know my son. He's a county employee.
Yes, very,
Tom
very
Dernoga.
bright young man.
Far exceeding his father. I came for two issues. One, I heard your comments on the hospital. I'm vice president of the Laurel Senior Friendship Club, and we submitted a letter this week to the governor asking him, we're supporting the employees and asking him to look into the hospital situation. I would say, from my prior experience, the county government made a lot of the efforts and spent a lot of money to support the Cheverly Hospital. And at that time, Laurel was making money and Cheverly was losing money hand over fist. Now things have changed, and it's really not fair for the citizens of the Laurel-Beltsville area to all of a sudden, let's focus on Largo and that area, but we're not going to have the resources available. And I'm concerned that the county oversight, you have officials on the Dimensions Board, the county council has people on the Dimensions Board, and somehow over a period of years, the world turned over and nobody seemed to notice. And that there's an issue of accountability as to why that happened. The second thing I want to address is to my state officials. Two things, and this is actually one thing, and this is really related to the way things get done. There was a bill 848, Senate Bill 848, 2012, to circumvent TRIM that you voted for, Mr. Ramirez.
Yeah, that's right.
It started as a maintenance of effort bill. And then in March, it was amended to do something very drastically different, which was to allow for the circumvention of TRIM. Well, last year there was a bill, Senate Bill 564, that you were a co-sponsor of, and that, Mr. Washington, you voted for. This bill started as an innocuous Fairness in Zoning Act. What's wrong with fairness in zoning? Well, in March, it was amended to take away the citizens' rights to file appeals to court in zoning and subdivision cases. And then it also takes away the citizens' rights to file appeals to the district council in many cases. And these amendments that come in March, after people see bills at the beginning of the year, there's something wrong with that. I'm not saying you did anything wrong, because I know how things, not as well as you do, but I know how things run in Annapolis, where bills move fast, things happen. I guess the question that I have is, did you both intend to take away the citizens' right to file zoning appeals, or did this change that occurred in the middle of the session or late in the session catch you by surprise? Because the new session coming up is a perfect opportunity to fix that situation so that citizens won't have their rights taken away. Because the only thing fair was fairness for developers in the bill. So I'd urge you to take a look at it. These things happen, but they can be fixed. Senate Bill 564, fairness in zoning, or lack of fairness in zoning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that was our last speaker. I want to thank everybody for their time and energy tonight. Mr. Baker, did you want to say a few words in closing?
Just very brief, I want to, can we give the round of applause to elected officials who came out here tonight? I mean, this is, shows how much you care. And thank you for coming out to this last legislative hearing. We look forward to talking to you. Thank you very much, and have a safe ride home.